There's just 1 minute to showtime.
The engines are on.
The following program is brought to you in living color.
When they wrote up the systems and the rule set that we use, did working people get to write a line? What class of men on pen and paper jotted down their clues, with capital the heart of their design? When 90 million want a thing, but some shareholders say no, which class of people get to have their way? The people read the fine print and say that this thing has got to go, and we'll start writing a new contract here today. Don't you know that hundreds will work and one man keeps the money? They don't think they gotta tell us why. When they say the new social contract, all the bosses will be gobsmacked and everyone will want a sign. Oh, yeah, everyone will want a sign.
Okay. Hello, cousins. Thank you so much for joining us and hanging out with us on this Tuesday afternoon while we reflect on the previous week's horrors and all of the horrors. It doesn't really have to be just last week's. In general, things have kind of picked back up. We were kind of sitting here in crickets mode for a while, like, what's going to happen? But then Lindsay Graham died. So, like, there's something going on, and that's pretty good. And then, there's been, like, people approaching buffaloes again. It is the season, so we have Grandpa gets yeeted by buffaloes, and I think the internet kind of rejoiced over that one. And then, so we have a few things that are actually happening, and the Lindsay Graham thing is kind of going to ultimately be a can of worms that I don't think we're going to see. I feel like that's kind of a pretty literal analogy, actually, can of worms. But we're going to unpack all this, and then we're dealing with the diarrhea lettuce right now with the outbreak of things because of the complete dismantling of any food protections going on. And then just about, I think it was just yesterday, the story came out that where the Trump administration refused to get involved in any kind of antitrust shit between Paramount and Warner Brothers merger, which they are literally supposed to do. So a bunch of states were like, hey, fuck you, we'll do it. So we have a lot to kind of go through this week, and then Jared's got some more DSA updates for us. So, and as ever, I am joined by my talented and illustrious co-host, our own Mr. Mayor Jared. Hello, Jared. Why don't I give you a second to say hello?
What's going on, everybody? I'm home for literally one day and then running back off to do more nonsense.
Yes,
but I'm happy to be here. I'm better rested than last week, actually, because I played like a wedding reception. I end up playing like one wedding a year, and hey, hire me if you want me to come out and play at your wedding reception.
He's available. He might be available if you want to book him for your wedding. And
they end up being far less taxing because I mean, like when it comes down to it, like I'm hired to play for an hour. But that involves being there like all weekend, and then usually I end up riding over with the bride and groom or something. So I like get there right first thing when they're setting up, try to help set up a little bit, and then I just kind of like sit around for like 5-6 hours. Then I play for 1 hour, and I wait around for another 3-4 hours. Got to tear down.
Right.
It's pleasant.
You get cake out of the deal at least. Like, do you get like, do they get a plate? Like,
oh yeah, they give me the food, anything that everybody else is getting. They're always like, we want to make sure you feel like you're included. I'm like, oh, don't worry, I was just gonna take shit.
Yeah. If you didn't, I was gonna help myself, so it's cool, whatever.
Because they're always at least like acquaintances, if not friends, not necessarily like total strangers who are booking me out. But so it's been like a nice relaxing weekend this weekend as opposed to last weekend where I'm running around doing more things. And then this upcoming weekend, hey, we'll see what that's like. It's another running around one. But
Yeah.
I should, in theory, come back It's the, what is it, the friggin' Onion thing where it's like, man comes back from vacation with renewed vigor to hate work. Like,
Right?
it's like, with new hatred for job.
Yeah, renewed hatred for
I never come
exactly.
back rested because it's usually like, okay, I want this to go as long as possible. So when I'm in work, when I get back to work, it's like, all right, I landed 10 hours ago because I wanted to spend as much time away as humanly possible.
Right?
Got home, showered, slept. Here I am.
Yes. Yeah. And that's good. Like that you have like the energy that you could just like tuck and roll. Like you're gonna put the next place and the next
I
place.
thought I was flying tomorrow at like 9 in the morning, but it's not till like 2 p.m. So I
Oh,
I can sleep another nice night.
nice. Yes.
But
Are
yeah,
you like,
I
do you
got some
say,
great moves from DSA
oh
endorsed
yeah.
politicians.
Yeah, yeah,
to
no.
talk about.
Yeah, that's the thing too, is you get to take it enables you to like take moments away from all of this horrible shit so that you like, but then you have to come back and like and just get deluged with it. So it's sort of
Well,
like,
it helps that nothing ever changes. Just like the names and the specifics
yeah.
might change, but it's always like, which guy who endorsed the new progressive darling voted what way this week?
Oh yeah.
Like
Yeah.
in a way that undermined the thing that they're supposed, like the whole point of, well, we have to get these people elected because we're just one vote away from blah, 2 votes away from blah. Whereas if we just had, well, if there wasn't this guy in that seat, everything would be perfect. It's like,
Before we jump all into it, I have this really excellent meme I want to show my screen to see if everybody can see it. This is like the best one I've seen in like 100 years. So I'm going to share my screen real quick. I love this. Is it gonna work? Yes. Okay, it worked. So yeah, yes, disassemble. So I hope that you guys understand that reference because we're millennials, so it's important to us that
friggin' Static Shock.
yeah, that we got to get it in there. Like, so if you don't know what that is, I will tell you that's Johnny Five with standing next to a flock camera saying yes, disassemble, because there's a very famous scene in Short Circuit. No, stop. I'm trying to unshare it now. And I can never get it to unshare. Stop. Oh, it's up in the corner, isn't it? You got to stop it. Okay, yeah. Anyways, well, it's Johnny Five from Short Circuit, a very famous robot to anyone born in the 80s or 90s. He's very important to us, and he got a famous line that says, and I think maybe actually it's in Short Circuit too.
He has his bad boy. Oh, was it in the sequel?
I think yeah. And now that I'm thinking about it, it might be in Short Circuit too. But there's a thing where he's getting attacked and dismantled, and he's saying, "No, disassemble Johnny Five," and it's super, super, super sad if you're a child.
Yeah,
It was like the worst thing that ever. You're Johnny Five. My God, no. So like, yeah, but you have full endorsement from Johnny Five to disassemble block cameras. Like, I thought that was the greatest. I love to see, because we always kind of, I talk about being a millennial a lot. I'm feel very connected to being a millennial because we've been a very silenced generation in the media and in general. So you really don't see a lot of things by us for us. So I'm sorry if you don't fit into that exact demographic, but that's why I kind of explained it, because I wanted you all to know about it. But Johnny Five is a huge cultural touchstone. So that's that, and I just absolutely love that meme when I saw it, and I knew I wanted to share it on the show and take the risk to like actually have my because sometimes my setup here is haunted and it doesn't like to screen share. So, but we got lucky. You got to see some quality Johnny Five content. I have a Johnny Five drawing that I did, but I did him in disguise and he's Johnny Cinco. So I don't have it. I don't know if it's on my socials or not, but it's a big thing to people of our generation. So yes, disassemble according to Johnny Five. Anyways, why don't you give us that DSA news, bud?
Well, so all right, this only you can obviously. The machine has 10,000 mechanisms to like hand wave away. You could say that everything I'm saying here is entirely unimportant, or just, oh, the situation is different, et cetera, et cetera. But if we're in a representative democracy, which is what we're supposed to have, or whatever, and you're the people, it's important to supposedly go vote for these people because they represent like your will, the things that you want done. My big argument is that sure, they can say whatever they want, but like that's the thing, they won't even freaking say the nice thing anymore. Like they'll make a crappy promise and then like dip under that. So if the point is to get people in office to do the things that you want them to do, the point of elections, it's not just because you want a different name or a different face on the screen. You wouldn't be doing things like making sure that through procedure, you don't subpoena Elon Musk, for instance. Like
Yeah, right.
we are told, I don't even want to say I'm neutral on Elon Musk because I'm really not. But
No.
like
Like,
him
I don't
and
think
his
there
like
is a neutral on him. Like, you either hate him or you're obsessed with him. So
like him and his personality, etc. aside, I do think he's a big like jingle keys, like him specifically, because as we
yes.
always talk about, the truly richest and most powerful people you don't really get to like hear about. They don't usually parade themselves like he does. So real bad guy, right? And everyone was mad about Doge because it
Batman
cut
villain,
various
which I
things.
think is a compliment to somebody like him. But
I haven't followed this through to know if it's entirely true, but I wouldn't be shocked that like how Doge cuts have potentially led to, like, for instance, the outbreak of the Ohio diarrhea virus that is going around. Be careful with vegetables and fruits right now, everybody. You've definitely heard it before you're hearing it from me, but
yes.
I think it's only fresh produce. I think canned stuff is fine. I don't know. Check
Well,
it
it
out.
also is starting to seem like it's centering around Taco Bell as well. And I don't think anybody's surprised at all to hear that. Like, it's literally not a joke. Like, that's like what's happening. Like,
I
people
had
are
Taco
just
Bell.
starting to trace back to Taco Bell.
I had Taco Bell not even a week ago, and I'm probably gonna have it again tonight. So
Oh God, cross
see
your
how that goes.
fingies.
That's the thing. Usually, when these like the salmonella outbreak at the Chipotle that was famous for years and years ago, by the time you actually start hearing about it, it's like, well, that lettuce is already gone. Like, we already ate all the gross lettuce, and like,
Right, we already ate it. So
the new shipment has arrived.
Mhm.
So, if that's important to you, if you don't like Mr. Musk and you think that what he did previously when he had his government position for a minute was bad, the other wrinkle to that is that none of the Doge cuts, like even that was kind of like fake. It was like a smokescreen for a restructuring or shuffling around of money because Congress had to approve all these cuts to make them permanent, and they didn't. So good news, I
And
guess.
that was at the time, and we've been kind of forced into having a short memory about things because things just happen rapid fucking fire now. But like that was like if you put your memory hole hat back on, like that, everybody was pissed off about it. But even like not all for the same reason. It's like, what the fuck was this all about? What performative bullshit was this then? Like why did this happen? Just to transfer all of the United States citizens' data to fucking Elon Musk's custody and big balls or whatever the shit. And like, so I mean at this point it's just like what even like it was just, and it was at the beginning of things, it was just so fucking stupid. So like that's
some people were saying, oh, they're going to starve all the children because USAID, which is not aid, and other programs, the National Endowment for Democracy, they're being defunded, and that means millions of people are going to die because all the poor starving children. And you're like, well, USAID is just the CIA, like almost direct. I think they just use this as an excuse to wrap up those, to move those funds from the USAID part of the ledger just directly into the State Department and or some other spooky agency.
But it says aid in it, guys.
It has aid in it. Same thing. National Endowment for Democracy. That's like the color revolution branch of the government, where they go around and explicitly. This isn't like conspiracies. Like if you don't like them messing with Cuba or Taiwan, etc., there's your National Endowment for Democracy. They're the ones who have whipped people into like Tibet needs to be freed.
Right.
Whatever that means. So we have this is from 2026. Elon Musk needs to answer for 5 million kids sentenced to death over Doge cuts. This is the helping the poor starving children USAID thing, which yes, I'm certain more than 0 children were fed by USAID, but we make it out as if like the way that it's marketed, which is look at our nice things we're just doing just out of the goodness of the U.S.
The United States is known for altruism. That's a thing.
The ID and aid is international development. It's for moves. It's so we can buy up all of your shit. So capital can move in.
And monopolize your economy. Yeah, so.
I'm skimming the heck out of this. We don't really need to read much. You get the idea, but Musk will need to be investigated for the, quote, 4.5 million children whom he, quote, possibly sentenced to death through his spending cuts, says Representative Ro Khanna, Democrat from California. It is notable that Ro Khanna absolutely endorsed Mamdani, of course. He's not a DSA member, because no one's a DSA member, because the DSA is not a party, it's a PAC. They fund people. They don't actually run candidates that, like, show me a DSA candidate where under party it says DSA. No, it says Democrat or independent sometimes, but they're just running to be, they're auditioning to be future Democrats.
Right.
We just don't like the Democrats right now, so we just call them the DSA.
Rebranding.
Yeah, it's like how, remember, was it like BP had to rebrand after they put that the oil hole in the bottom of the ocean.
Yeah,
right?
or the cereal companies take their names off the boxes and it's the exact same fucking thing. They're just trying to cover up, like,
it's not Sierra Mist. It's starry.
Yeah, it's just running interference for Democrats, basically. So
their whole job is to get to, because it worked on us, both of us. They ran the same playbook on us, and we were totally into it. Like, Bernie Sanders, yeah.
Yeah, right.
Anyway, Khanna suggested that Democratic Party take initiative to hold Musk accountable if they were to. So we have Ro Khanna saying, quote, 4.5 million children that he thinks that Elon Musk was, quote, possibly sentenced to death by Elon Musk. So what did Ro Khanna do when given the opportunity to hold this man who apparently killed 4.5? That's almost as much as the Holocaust. That's like 2/3 of a Holocaust right there, just if you believe the surface numbers.
It feels like a guessing game. Like, okay, guys, to put your guesses in. What do you think happened? Here we go. So what do you think?
House Democrats this was last year now, February 2025, right around when he was endorsing Mamdani for mayor here. House Democrats try and fail to subpoena Musk. And when I'm talking about that representative thing that in my preamble there, is this the representation? Is this what you wanted? Is this what Ro Khanna was supposed to be thrown into office for? I thought like a lot of core capital D Democrat voters wanted to like tear Elon Musk apart with their bare hands and eat him. Like that's how many crimes he's done, how bad he is, how he is the head fascist of all of this. That word gets thrown around a lot. Well, guess what? They had the opportunity to subpoena him, and Ro Khanna just didn't go. He just didn't go to the vote. Representative Ro Khanna,
not even a present vote.
Who, and I didn't even think about this, Politico, good point, who represents Silicon Valley, so like has a long-time relationship with the billionaire. Oh wow, they're all friends behind the scenes. Hooray.
Right, yeah.
Khanna says he missed the vote and he was unaware it was happening.
Oh,
no. Whoops. Oh my God, I can't believe it.
I can't believe job. That's an okay thing to do. Like, you're not going to get fired for that, like, somewhere else, like, I forgot to come to job. I'm sorry.
That was today? we get to subpoena the guy who I claim killed 4.5 million children? I don't know, man. I forgot. I didn't set enough. You should have set some more Apple iPhone alarms. That's what happened. He was in Silicon Valley. Sure. They hacked his iPhone. They turned off he woke up late.
Well, I mean, if it had been 4.6, maybe he would have remembered. Like, that would have been so much more obvious.
They don't even like believe their own horse shit. Like, how can you look at that and see that as anything? It's either a lie on this end or that end. It can't. He either doesn't really think.
Yeah, masks are off at this point. Like, they don't like. We've talked about this a lot in the past. How like they would at least lie. You know, like they would at least, whatever it is, whether it was big or small, they would at least lie. And like people are like, well, okay, it's possible that that's whatever. But now they're like, I didn't even fucking go because I didn't want to. Fuck you. Like, that's it. Like, that's all the whole thing. And if Ro Khanna in general, his function in the government does seem to be kind of like the Democratic sin eater, because he's the one that will go and mix it up with like podcasters for no reason and just take a fucking
he just gets wrecked on like progressive podcasts.
Like he's like, it's all him, right? Like it's all your fucking fault, bro. And he's just like, he just goes there and just gets his shit rocked and like. I don't know, just collects the money in the healthcare, doesn't care.
It's part of how you know he's a pro.
People are just bullshit and only serve a certain function. The government doesn't work anymore. It does not function for anyone but clearing the way, the path for billionaires to do fuck all.
This was a committee vote that he missed his last year. And as you see, wow, shocking. It was a 20-19 vote, and if only there were one more vote, we could have.
Just the one.
I don't know what happens in committee when there's a tie, but I assume they have to do something. Like maybe the tiebreaker is fucking Ro Khanna. I don't know.
It could have been. I mean, theoretically, that's what we're talking about here. That's how you know that this is like a non-functional situation. Like you just get proven over and over and over again under just a million different scenarios that they just straight up lie. Or they don't just straight up don't lie anymore and tell you the truth, and it's always a bullshit situation. And then they also like you talk about all the time, like the guy that voted against his own bill. Yep. Why would anybody do that? Logically, why would anybody fucking do that? That doesn't make any sense in any world except for if you're being paid to stand down. So
maybe he just changed his mind last second. He's like, you know what? I spent all this time writing this bill, but actually, fuck it. Fuck me. I don't want my bill to pass. I hate this bill that I wrote.
Never mind me. I didn't even know what I was talking about. I definitely did have my shit threatened. It's fine.
I do think it's funny. Like, this also unfortunately allows Musk to be funny, where it's like Musk responded to Khanna's post, writing to him, "Don't be a dick."
God damn it. Yeah, that is the world we live in now. Where like shitheads from other countries get to be like, go fuck yourself. And Ro Khanna's like, I'll fuck myself. Okay.
I always forget he's not American either. He is South
African,
African.
apartheid piece of shit is what he is.
But even then, his
white
parents were like
South African. Like there aren't any worse ones.
But even then, his parents were like Canadian. Like they were Canadian, and they moved to South Africa for the emerald mine, I guess.
Yeah,
and then
to do apartheid and benefit like greatly off of emerald mining. So
yeah, it's pretty sad. All right, before I do another sad DSA thing, this one. Hey, guess what? The U.S. seeks extra. I don't know this guy, but I'm hearing about him, and you read the cause, and you're like, "Well, how am I
heard about this?" But I didn't dig in. Yeah,
there's a pro-Palestine donor. This guy's name is Fergie Chambers. I am unfamiliar with his work, but I know that he's getting arrested because he has a lot of pro-Palestine stuff to say, and he is either Spanish or just in Spain. He's being extradited from Spain to the U.S. I think it's funny. That's like we got a less blurry picture, please.
Right.
This is from PalestineChronicle.com, so I assume it's going to be pretty sympathetic. An American philanthropist was arrested in Spain on a U.S. extradition request with relatives. Oh, so they are American. They just were in Spain. Okay. More and more, like, the way that you find out if somebody you're following is legit, like a political actor or whatever is legit, is if they have left the United States. If they've gotten the hell out of the country because they know they're going to get either messed with or, like, sent to a freaking black site or whatever.
Right. They're going to Guantanamo.
A shocking number of political commentators are just, like, they've just straight up moved to Russia. And it's like, well, I guess they won't extradite. That's the logic. Is they won't extradite. They don't want to go to, like, Cuba because that's not as nice.
Right, yeah.
China doesn't just, like, you can't just show up in China and be like, I'm going to live here now. Like, there's a lot
They're
of
like, nah.
procedures.
I think maybe you're not, actually.
Yeah. But all right. I'm going to read some, again, skimming the heck out of this. Chambers was arrested in, oh boy, Ibiza. It's not like, that's like a famous city in Spain. I don't know how to say them. Ibiza, following a U.S. extradition request. His family says the case is politically motivated and linked to his financial support for Palestine-related humanitarian and activist initiatives. Chambers faces U.S. money laundering and material support charges, as in, like, material support of terrorism.
Like what? Like they grabbed this one guy for the United States only being available for money laundering. Like that's the one thing that we do is money launder.
Because you can't arrest him over speech yet. So what do you got to do? Arrested? Yeah, I already read that.
Usually that or tax evasion. So.
Spanish authorities detained Chambers on July 10th after stopping his vehicle while he was traveling with members of his family. A court subsequently ordered his pre-trial detention pending extradition proceedings. A judicial hearing reviewing his custody scheduled for July 16th. All right, I'm on the look for more, like, details of the specific thing, because, yeah, they're saying money laundering. They're saying that he was basically funding terrorists in Palestine. Family rejects charges. Here we go. Chambers' family described the prosecution as a political persecution linked to his long-standing support for the Palestinian cause. According to the family, the most serious allegation concerns financial transfers from the United States to Tunisia, where Chambers has lived and invested in businesses and social projects since 2023. His relatives said those transfers were for lawful commercial investments, sports sponsorships, and humanitarian initiatives, rejecting accusations that they constituted support for armed organizations. It's just like, I don't know, ironic, ghoulishly. Think of what the U.S. does. Like, think about what our own country funds in these various places. Like, no one's going after the Clintons for economically detonating Haiti.
Right.
Like, if we're talking about, like, unlawful commercial investments, bro, oh, you're moving money into this country. It's like, man, that's the U.S.'s whole deal, is moving money into countries.
Yes.
Where, of course, this guy, he's doing it for Palestine, at least in theory. Like I said, I haven't, like, vetted this person. I don't know if they're
that may not even be true. They could have just, like, grabbed this guy and been like, he's doing the things we don't like. Here, watch what we'll do to you. You know,
if you're getting arrested, it's like how they'll make it an impossible situation, then you have to, like, circumvent that, and then you're not allowed to. Like,
right.
You're going around the sanctions we've put on you. I'm not surprised to hear about more people getting arrested for Palestine activities. I mean, we freaking arrest college students just like last year, probably still now. It's not exactly the same case, but there was like a teenager who posted on social media something like, I don't want to work for Jews. Which, not a great thing to be saying on the internet. It's a little fucked up. But then some rando Zionist guy is like, I will now ruin this man. Like, explicitly on the internet, it's like, we will now ruin his life. And then they did. It's like, I guess that's not the law doing it to you. It's not like the cops came and did it, but like, oh man.
Right, yeah. It's just, yeah, and this is going to be an ongoing situation, whether or not, like, it might quietly go away. Like, they're like, oh, we're going to have to drop these charges. That happens all the time. Like, the story blows up, and then it's like, oh, actually, we had nothing. There is nothing, and people are going to get pissed. And it's not worth the trouble that it's going to cause. So this is something that's kind of going to unfold, but it doesn't bode well. Like, this is the kind of thing, like, they what?
He's his name Cox. Chambers is an heir to the Cox Enterprises fortune. He's a rich kid out doing this. One of the largest privately held media and communications companies in the U.S. I assume that's got to mean like Cox Internet. I think my internet is Cox, actually.
Well, that's there's some sort of probably strong arming going on here. Then
he severed ties with the family business in 2023, selling his ownership stake for an estimated $250 million. Since then, it actually makes more sense why they might go after this guy, because it's like, oh, he actually has enough, he has significant enough money that this is worth trying to stop him. Because they aren't stopping everybody who starts like a Palestine charity.
That money in some way, like, like it sees his finances in some particular kind of a way.
Supporters say he's donated over $1 million to humanitarian projects in Gaza, while also funding organizations and media outlets supporting Palestinian rights. Yeah, if he's being a little bit of a class traitor, and that's
this also could be like a false flag thing where they've determined that this guy's going to be like really influential, and it's like we're all just hearing about him for the first fucking time. Like nobody knew who this guy was, so it's like whatever. But
good news is they probably aren't going to like kill him or anything. If you're real rich and you get arrested, he'll probably be all right.
There's probably, I think that aspect of the story changes things quite a bit. Like it might be about now asset seizing or like that they just false flagged this guy, like, and he's really nothing, that the people, they just like have bad intel and thought that he was gonna be something, or like because all the time Trump's going on being like, oh, the communists, what the fuck are you talking about? Like, there's like, no, they're not, and it's not happening, and nothing you think is happening. But that's what they do. They want him to go out and smoke screen it so that everybody can just do what they fucking whatever behind like basically right out in the open now. I was going to say closed doors, but it's not closed doors anymore. But the billionaires
in front of closed doors.
In front of the closed doors, they just do whatever they want. They get whatever they want, and that's part of it too. And we're constantly talking about the government is not a non-functioning entity anymore. It doesn't run. It doesn't do anything except clear the path, and that's why nothing has gotten better for anybody in like any person or any people or group of people or area or world, like the world we live in, as things have just gotten just worse and worse and worse progressively for the past 45-ish years. But it magically, these billionaires and these the corporations, they get whatever they want, whatever horrible thing needs cleared out of their way. That's why there's like no EPA anymore. That's why there's no FDA anymore. That's why all these federal lands became public. Like, and then there's no legislation on data centers. Like that's why they're just clearing the path for themselves, basically. That we we always blame Raymond for everything, and it's deserved, but it's not just like we scapegoat him. Like, no, his administration did all this, and that's what I've said several times. I wonder if they really saw how far and how bad this was going to go, and that makes them even worse, or if they didn't have any idea that it could really snowball into what it's become in a relatively short amount of time. But that's how we ended up here, now that we're essentially under corporate billionaire control. What the tech companies, the tech owners, a handful of people decide they want, they get now. And that's how this works. There aren't any laws protecting you as a citizen from anything. There's not any laws that are, making your life better. You just constantly getting things taken away from you and taken away from you. And you're told to say thank you and land of opportunity and American dream. So, that's essentially where we are. And then, that's so we just keep presenting you case after case after case of this, and it's just like what Jared said with Ro Khanna. And now there's a bigger story that's basically just happening. So again, unfolding, but where we are back into the story about the merger, acquisition of Warner Brothers to and everything therein to Paramount that just purchased it, and the Trump administration was like, hell yeah, do it, go for it. And they're supposed to, any administration is supposed to get involved in antitrust laws that stop corporations from merging that would create an obvious and clear monopoly. So 12 states got involved and created their own antitrust lawsuit. And even some people like tried to make a class action lawsuit against this kind of a thing. Because what we're basically talking about is it's not just like, oh, there won't be any TV shows anymore, because there won't be. Oh, there won't be movies anymore, because there won't be. Because we already have seen a gigantic dip in the amount of things and the way things are produced, that, the entertainment industry, is really suffering as an industry for the people in it. From the top to the bottom, we're talking about, that your A-listers are going overseas and doing movies in other countries, and then all the way down to, extra actors and writers and things like that. Like, they're completely out of work and having to take on other work. So the industry has been utterly destroyed through, this kind of thing happening continuously. And now this gigantic acquisition would make that even worse. So that's also going to affect how theaters run. There'll be more theater closings. So if you're down with paying like $40 to go see a movie of a remake of a reboot of a restart of something, you won't be able to do that. So I realize I'm going like kind of back
Moana.
and forth.
This is about how Moana's making no money.
Oh yeah, exactly that. Like, well, that's kind of how I'm going back and forth. I know I'm really like saying good and bad and good and bad, but like, this is a bad thing. Like, the merger was going. Acquisition, let me be clear, was going to be a really bad thing to happen. It make things even worse. Plus, we're putting more. We're talking about the Warner Brothers is one of the founding, studios in the country, and so it's got a massive back catalog that now goes under control, which they'll just put away somewhere. You don't actually know what's going to happen, and that all is going under David Ellison, a major, well-known Zionist who is, controlling the corporate news in a big margin of it as it is. So that would be going under, another great big entity of material and jobs of people in a whole industry, going again under Zionist control. Now, if you put your memory tube back on, and remember what happened with the CBS News and Barry Weiss and all of that. We don't need to really unpack that again, but they compromised 60 Minutes and the CBS News situation. I mean, not like, they were such a beacon of truth or anything before, but but this is a bigger story than just, oh, no TV, no movies. Because, first of all, those are industries. Those are gigantic industries that are now being suppressed. So again, more job losses, like everything else is happening. But also it would completely put, a massive amount of narrative control into the hands of David Ellison specifically, who has said they have threatened to leave California because of this lawsuit. It's like, well, okay, go to Israel then. Fuck you. Like, what are you gonna do, right? Like,
he's gonna come here, man. He's gonna go to Arizona. He's gonna go to Texas,
Georgia. But like, and that's the thing too. Like, that's and this is again unfolding. Every kind of stop that has been tried to be thrown in their way to make this not happen hasn't worked. So. I don't know. I hope that it works. I hope to see this stop, because this should never have happened. When Netflix was trying to buy Warner Brothers, that also should not have happened. It would have been a better alternative, but you really are facing the same situations. Okay, control of something is control of something. And if you now own like one of the biggest conglomerates of media, and you then have control of that conglomerate of media, and they're in all the jobs that go with it. They're in the back catalogs. I mean, we're talking about literal history at stake. I'm not saying that they throw, they're going to throw all the movies on the pyre or anything like that. But you do want,
some of them,
maybe, right?
A lot.
You
if,
do want
things
to
get
know
tangled
who's
up in
controlling
rights.
these things, like the whole back. I mean, I couldn't even wager a guess. I mean, we're talking back to like silent era, right? Like the entire, like an entire like third of like the America's like media production for all of it, for like the last century is now potentially going into the control of Paramount. And then they have been acquisitioning things this whole time. There was the Skydance merger, with this. And so there's a lot of things here that are actually like, more than just like, oh, well, movies are bad anyways, and I don't care. I just watch TikTok all day. And it's like, that's not the fucking point. You do that because they've taken all your shit away, and they're going to take more of your shit away, and you're going to say, thank you. That's fine. TikTok and the way that we've changed media around to be like in the hands of people is a response to not being able to afford television or a place to watch it in. Or, you know, that's what we're talking about here. And that would get a whole lot worse.
I would like to propose in the future communist America, we will have the American Heritage Media and Entertainment Network, which will combine all of these things. So it will preserve things, every episode of all these, like, I don't know, give them, let's say 10 years, like, just take your copyright date. Also, you know, it's the acronym Amen.
I love that idea.
We'll get into this because it has to be America coded or people won't like it. Because seriously, like, once you hit a point, like you're talking about, like back to the freaking silent film era, like nobody, any conversation about the ethics of like who's making money off these things becomes entirely irrelevant. Everybody who made it's freaking dead. But maybe they shouldn't just be thrown away forever. Like love or hate American culture in the general sense. I think you should be able to like see the things that people worked on, like they did happen. I mean, the same reason that I wouldn't want like Birth of a Nation to be permanently deleted forever. Not because I agree with the message of it's the Klan movie. Not that I agree with the message of the movie. I think it's important to be like, look, this is a thing that happened just for historical records. It starts feeling like eventually it's like, well, we have preservation for all these other things. And if anything, this is easy preservation. You just gotta stick this shit on some hard drives. Like, you don't have to take up miles of like square footage of. You can freaking get all this stuff on a few terabytes drive. It's just the issue of because our property right things are so nonsense.
Yes.
When capital runs out of room to expand, the only way to fight against the declining rate of the tendency of the rate of profit to decline, which is a Marx thing, which is over time, these businesses seem to make less and less money because your margins get more narrow because as you replace more labor with automation, like movie sets, for a while with like the 3D animation, with not just 3D animations, with visual effects, the number of people was actually like expanding, like how many people worked on movies. But then, of course, all those expanded added people are paid like the absolute least. It's not like we're adding more directors or more like leading roles.
Outsourcing as well,
We're not adding more like key grips. We're adding like 300 Koreans who are getting paid pennies, and by the time the movie comes out, their studio probably went bankrupt because that just seems to be a pattern. But the industries contract with the total number of people that work on the thing. So where do you get profit from? It's derived from human labor. So as you squeeze more and more human labor out of it, your profit margin gets smaller and smaller. That's why you can have a railroad company that's like barely making any money, and one guy works on the train. We're down to literally like single, maybe two people working on these freight trains. But how do you grind it even lower? That's where the tendency of the rate of profit to decline comes from. You just run out of ways to save money on the thing, and your margin eventually becomes ultra tiny. So then your options are to expand, because then, hey, look at that, we have more product. Hey, things are getting bigger. Like if that's why like colonialism came about in the first place, was to get resources so you can bring it back to do your industrial revolution, keep the machine going. Like India, oh look, a whole new market for cotton. Holy shit.
Yeah, exactly.
So if you can't do that, because we basically have taken over the whole world at this point, like unless we're going to show up in Mars and be like, hi, can we export some capital to the Martians? Your other option is to just start reshuffling stuff around. That's why you have companies, you have all these acquisitions and purchases and mergers and takeovers. Why? Because they're like, okay, maybe if we shuffle around a bunch of stuff, we can squeeze.
We can make more.
A little bit more profit we can get out of this.
It's the infinite growth mentality, and that doesn't fucking exist. That's not a thing. And what you're describing, interestingly, is you're basically describing what TCM does. Ironically, TCM I have on right now.
Classic Movies?
And Turner, And what I have on right now, and they're showing at this moment a film called That's Entertainment. There were 3 of them that came out in the 80s, which is a retrospective of all of the things that the studios did. Like, so it's like, those were very big movies and very big point, because there's always been the idea that you had to preserve these things, because in the silent era, they believed a lot of the time that those things were meant to be thrown away. So a lot, like 80% of everything that was made in the silent era ultimately was lost or destroyed or burned up in archive fires, so what you see now is basically a fucking miracle when it comes from being that long ago. Anything from that long ago. And like there are people who have a lot of preservation stuff, and people whose entire catalogs and entire history of their life is just gone. So, but TCM, and yes, as you said, Turner Classic Movies, and that's where we kind of get into the good billionaire question mark comment, because Ted Turner did just die recently, but for all the shitty stuff that he did do some good stuff, and that's like not in vogue at all anymore. He preserved.
He just
tons
liked
of
movies and
land.
shows. He just liked media.
Yeah,
He actually gave a shit.
He was into preservation generally, and just because his name's on it, like he bought like MGM, he bought like Warner Brothers, he bought like all these catalogs, and he wanted somewhere to put them in the 90s, and then that's how TCM became what that is. And then the last time that there was all this merger dust up, like TCM went under Warner Brothers control and almost got mowed down, but there was a huge public outcry to say, don't fucking save TCM. Like celebrities got involved. People were like, get your fucking hands off TCM. This is an invaluable resource. So they were basically left alone, but like hamstringed in terms of budget. So like they went from showing like all kinds of shit to showing, a lot of the same stuff over and over and over again. So because they are made to pay for these movies, for the rights to show these movies. As you were talking, IP and on all that shit like this and copyright is just ridiculous. Because they are providing a service, and the ownership was that like, well, they don't show commercials, so we can't make any money off of it. They're providing a fucking service. Like that is the whole point. They're providing and preserving and talking about and giving you history programming that you wouldn't ordinarily have any resources or access to. So what your your idea about that's essentially what TCM does. But I would like to see that expanded into television and to everything. Like we should have access, like there should be an entire streamer that is just all the things up to like
Yeah. Capitalism is very, very good at concentrating the means of production into more and more efficient things. I mean, it doesn't have to be as fucking ruthless and horrible as it is, but what it is doing, it does, has been historically. My argument is that it no longer does that. That's why it's not that like we need to move on from capitalism to like be morally righteous and good and love Jesus and all these things. It's because at this point, once you reach a point where, once you get to like the monopoly, or where a natural monopoly would make sense, like with Google, we don't need a second Google. Now we kind of do, because it's made itself worse, but that's besides the point. But things like your water company, like where your electricity come from, natural monopolies emerge, and that is through the process of capitalist production, making things more and more efficient, grinding as much labor out of the process as possible. But then you must continue. It no longer, media companies are easy to talk about because we have like emotional relationships to these things, and you'll talk about specific movies and brands, and we know some. The same thing is happening with steel companies, plastic manufacturers, freaking landscapers, like name a thing, and they are either in the process or have already completed the process of being combined into being essentially monopolies. We have one company that if you want to go see a concert, Live Nation, it is basically one company that not only controls most of the touring acts, but most of the venues themselves. Why? Because they keep vertically integrating even things that you wouldn't think of needing monopolization and concentration like that, such as concerts. They've already undergone that process. I'm sure that if you look at like light bulb manufacturers, there's probably like two, where there used to be dozens and dozens.
What Live Nation has done, that's how movies used to be controlled back in the day. They were controlled by theaters. The theaters owned them, and then the government was like, "This doesn't fucking work. We're not doing this anymore. They belong to the people who made them, and they get to decide. And you guys get." And
that weirdly helped that industry, because by keeping them from forming these monopolies, you can kind of keep the the artificial competition going, even though it is an anti-capitalist move. Because hey, if you want to just be ruthlessly efficient about everything, make all the monopolies. But then the key difference between, because people are like, well, that happens in China too. China, when you get to that point with whatever your business company is, they just essentially hand you a little medal. They're like, congratulations, you won. You won the game.
Very good. Good
now
for you.
You will now be handing over a large amount. We're now going to stick a party member in here with you, because the cost of putting on this nonsense competition is dumb. Like Warner Brothers should not have to absorb the cost of having to go around and fight and do all these legal things and acquisitions and moves. You should be able to take all of your resources and time and energy into like making shows, which is supposed to be the point of production companies. They should be using their resources on that.
Industry. Exactly that. It is supposed to be an industry. It is supposed to employ people. It doesn't matter if you could get it to be super efficient. That's not the fucking point. There is a point where like we do shit because we want to do it.
And we're just talking about property rents. We're just talking about the rent charged to watch shit that's been made decades ago. Like,
right, exactly
the
that.
makeup assistant isn't getting any more money out of like an episode of freaking Tombstone.
Right,
at this
yeah.
point.
And like there is just like so much, and there are a lot of let's
Who
say like,
has the right to charge me rent to watch James Bond from 1960?
right, and that's exactly true. And there are a lot of channels like
I
over
argue
the
no
air.
one. It should be free. Sorry.
Well, no, you're right, because there are a lot of over the air channels and things like that. There should be at least a cutoff point where it's like nobody is left alive. These people don't even have an estate. And, all right, it's everybody gets to broadcast it wherever. Like
I say
that
10 years, but I'm kind of extreme.
But yeah, that's well, you're in the right here. That's the thing. Like there should, in communist America, we will have the right to our own historical documents. Like that's what we should be able to see, and that's where you learn shit and you get shit. Those things belong to the public, right? Like you can't just be like, oh, we'll leave this up to the archivists. That's not the idea. Like those things, that's precarious, type of situation.
In the same sense, like a national park quote belongs to the public. I think that is how we should think about
our
most of our
achievements
media.
as human people. And we're also talking about for many decades, from like the inception to just recently, American entertainment was the gold standard of global entertainment, right? Like that is what the Hollywood dream,
Our soft power was unmatched.
Our soft power was unmatched. And if you look into it as a historical aspect, it did play a gigantic role in World War II by being a massive propaganda machine, but basically for the greater good. But it did make that's why we have a lot of we would say like, well, the textbooks never said. The people grew up thinking, yeah, but like how much shit do you really absorb from school? Everybody gets their shit from movies, right? So like when they're putting out propaganda films about America killed Hitler, America served and saved everybody, and then just completely write Russia out of the story, who actually did the work, like that, like then we live in this sort of Spielbergian, oh no, America, World War II, and it's only just recently do we find out like, oh, actually that was all a fucking lie.
You can find the propaganda reels that I got it. It's a famous one where it's like, this man fights for your freedom. He is your friend, and it was like a Soviet soldier. And we had these there's some one where it's a staged like quote interview where it's people from the crowd are like, what about blah blah blah, and then he goes, well, here's the reasonable explanation. It's like, oh, but like in defense of Stalin, because that's when we were at the freaking head of it, and like they're thinking about taking over Berlin here before too long. So at the time, that was, I mean, it was also true. We were the quote allies. We were allied with them both on paper and like in reality. But you see how kind of a reluctant alliance that was, because they spent a long time hoping that, oh man, maybe Germany will just take out Russia for us and then we don't have to deal with that. And
let's kill each other, fight each other's dicks off. But the thing is that it was the studios back then, when there were several before they had been monopolized and crushed and down into nothing, they were all like kind of colluding to make America look great because it was good for the war machine. It was good for the war effort.
They were heavily funded by the government.
Yeah, they were. Well, yeah, and pretty much every studio head was a refugee Jewish person from somewhere who had escaped some kind of persecution at some point. So, and that's where you get like the conspiracy people talking about like the Jewish overlord shit. It's like, shut the fuck up. That's not what this is. Okay. Like at that time in America, you could just go and get stuff and do it. And that's how things worked. And that's how they just became. And just because they were in control, that you had ethnic people at the helm of media doesn't mean that there was some, hand rubbing conspiracy going on. But they, so they were coming from a place of experience, first of all. So they knew what the fascism was like. They saw the rise of it, like through the First World War and through being displaced and all this. And so they were colluding in the way of like, okay, we got to make all of our movies with all of our best stars about like the war and just really good stories about the about journalists and about soldiers and all this, that, and the other. And like they were doing it. And this went on for the entire war and after for decades. And then when Vietnam happened, like if you watch shows from the 80s, like you see things from the 80s or movies from the 80s, it's all about vets that came back who were all fucked up and like dealing, because that was the generation of that going on. So like we always have that in our media. So but that again, that's a learning experience, and that belongs to us. Like everybody should get to watch MacGyver. I will be on this forever. Like I've talked about this before. Like they couldn't use use the words like socialist and communist and stuff in any positive light, but every fucking thing I learned in life, I learned from MacGyver, and he was a motherfucking socialist to the hilt. Like, you never, ever, ever are going to see somebody more socialist and more widely broadcast in one of the most popular things in the show. Ran from 85 to 91, 92, and it was like the bastion of like good behavior and good ethics, and like everyone should have access. Everyone should have access to see what that is. And I rewatched it like for the first time in a bunch of years because it was like my favorite thing of all of life. And then I'm like, God damn it, everything about me is MacGyver. I am this man. Like, it took me forever to
so just thinking about 70s and 80s movie makers. I don't know if I've only heard one person talk about this. You know what George Lucas puts out on his YouTube channel now? He puts out long documentaries in praise of Lenin. He did a whole Ho Chi Minh one, because I mean, Ho Chi Minh's a more obvious one, because if you look about like when he was writing Star Wars, that whole thing is supposed to be like the rebels are the Viet Minh, the Viet Cong, and then the Empire is America. Like it's a Vietnam War movie, really. And he tried to do that in 2000s about like Operation Desert Storm, and it didn't really come across as well. But yeah,
I figured he was just kind of shuffling around, like kind of sad about his decisions. Like, I didn't.
He has a thing. It's like Lenin. History will not forgive us. Wow. Is the title of the documentary. Like, has a bunch of really cool archival footage. I mean, it is George Lucas. He knows how to put together some visuals. Like,
for sure.
That's what he does
awesome.
now with his time.
I never heard that. No, and then because also that's another big historical thing. Like too, like he was at the time of like it was like like so many of these people who now are like the old heads were just like formed like you had George Lucas and you had Martin Scorsese and Spielberg was kind of mixed up in there. Like these people were like starting when they were forming together. They're all in the same age group. They're all were like going through the motions at the same time. And they were working together. They were influencing each other. It was this kind of, they shaped what we got through many years. And now I don't know if we have that anymore. Everything's so fragmented and so different. It's hard to see anything like real coming out of movies anymore, because that was sort of like maybe the last generation of people who really took it really fucking seriously as an art form. I mean, like Scorsese movies, right? Like they're rough, but that's art. That shit is art straight up. So it might not be like your favorite kind of art. It's not my favorite, but I love the enthusiasm. I love the idealism behind it. I love the stuff that these guys did in their heyday. And I am like a Steven Spielberg hater, but like you can't like, you have to forgive Jaws. There's Jaws and then there's everything else. But like Jaws it was the first blockbuster. It was a masterpiece. Like these guys were on something, another level of things. George Lucas brought us Star Wars initially, and but now I don't think we have that anymore, because the industry is just barely standing, and that it's so tragic, because that has always been our expression. Like that has been America's like number one source of pride that we have ever had.
I think it's a freaking bummer too. I not because I want America specifically to be the most dominant cultural force, but
right.
I want us to. I think we do good stuff over here, and it's kind of a bummer that
our art is gone. And I will say
Disney is some like from the beginning government, like the government basically anybody who has had like any of the largest, most successful companies or production houses, really anything in any realm of business in the U.S. almost certainly either has direct government subsidies, or one of the guys who works there was a congressperson, or blah blah blah. But it used to be higher quality, and now we just have that same arrangement, but it's just garbo they're putting out all the time.
Yeah. Yeah,
like, come on.
Or you'll have something that's like a movie about a cat, and it's like it had a budget of $5 billion, and it's like that's just money laundering. Like this is just a bunch of bullshit. Like, and that's the thing too. It has been compromised by people from outside of it who don't give a shit about any kind of art form about it. They don't give a shit about it. They just want to use it as a way to launder money and to make money. And that's obviously that influence. Yeah,
finance
finance.
capital
Finance
ruins
capital.
everything. It makes everything fucking suck. When people talk about like private equity, like, oh,
Yeah.
yeah, it's finance
And
capital.
that's what we're talking about here. Like
Yeah.
that's what the light bulb companies, like you were talking about, and then like all the utility companies and all the housing, like it's all gone to private equity, and that is only about extracting value, chasing the infinite amount of like
it has to transition to the higher mode of production, or it's going to
yes.
be stuck in a rut. It doesn't make sense to try and wring profit out of like people's
But there
water
isn't,
bill, for example.
like the thing this is how you I get tired of I get tired of the in stage capitalism term, because that implies that like we're like like when does that end? Like what stage of in the stage? Like no,
it doesn't
like,
end
like,
unless you end it, which is my like white pill thing. It's like it doesn't just happen automatically. It also doesn't necessarily mean there's one dramatic thing where someone stands on a stage and is like, and now capitalism is over. Like there's
right.
that also
gavel, right?
Like there was no time when
out of his
feudalism
see-through coffin and is like it over.
like feudalism didn't end when some guy gave a thing like feudalism is now done. No, it was a gradual transition, but that was kind of happening like organically. Not as many. I mean, people were theorizing about it. Like, got Adam Smith out there talking about like what is capitalism, but at the same time, the whole point of Marx and that is that look, if we can recognize these patterns, it doesn't just have to hit us like a ship on the ocean. Like we can have some intentionality to this. We can plan an economy. We already do plan an economy. It just happens to be a very small group of motivated people in one direction who plan it. We're already at the top of the hour, but I wanted to mention my last my last Hakeem
we could go
Jeffries
on about this
bit.
forever because it is
absolutely.
like endlessly fascinating, endlessly important. And the point here, the headline you should take away from that is that like this is way more important than it seems like. This is not business as usual. This is our voice as a nation, as a people, as a history that is being censured in a major.
You gotta start. Recover your ability to pirate. I think it's just like archive.com. It's some like very generic, but some of this stuff is archived and put online. I think it actually might be freaking archived. Like,
.org.
.org, that's the one. Because like I had a person I enjoy on the internet who they have a kid now, and they're like, oh yeah, I was on Internet Archive, archive.org. I was on archive.org. They have just every episode of Little Bear on there. I'm like, oh crap, from Nick Jr. I remember that show. And it's just all on there. There's a surprising.
They don't even make children's programming anymore. There's like 3 or 4 cartoons, and we grew up in the time of like the golden era of children's programming, which was Nicktoons. Like there was nothing like it, like that was it. So yeah.
This guy loves Mr. Rogers. He talks about how great Mr. Rogers is all the time. He'll just break down bits in his episodes. I'm like, oh my god, you're right. That is surprisingly cool. Like it was like deeper. Yeah. I won't get into children's programming
someday
philosophy.
we'll do like a whole show on just on this, because I know that this story is going to evolve. Hopefully, cross your fingers that this. A
lot of stuff is available. It's just going to become less and less convenient to find it unless you like have the old knowledge of where to go on frickin' Pirate Bay to get the thing.
Right. Yeah.
Which sucks. I want to do a thing where it's more convenient because it seems like a natural monopoly at this point. Just take all our shit, put it on one service, and I think it should be free. But even if you're like $5 a month. Like make it as like minimally priced as possible.
No, rich people should fucking pay for it. God damn it! Like they should pay for it and give it to people. Like
has to. These kind of ideas will never make anybody a billionaire, and that's why they don't happen under our current system, because somebody has to be able to benefit.
Our history is in a major way in jeopardy.
Just get these librarians on it. They'll do it for provably very little money.
Yes. Yeah. So yeah, we'll circle back on this, because we need to give this more time and more thought. Because we'll see how this lawsuit goes, and we'll talk more about movies and history and things like this. But just let's see about this whole thing with Hakeem Jeffries.
I'm just repeating myself with the Rokana situation, but Hakeem Jeffries is even more close to our golden boy Mamdani, and he endorsed Mamdani, of course. But no, Hakeem Jeffries is not a DSA member. Again, they don't really run candidates, so I don't even know what that means. But wow, Democrats have split on a contentious amendment to the fiscal 2027 State Department spending bill. So the way that you actually break down the way you actually achieve peace in the Middle East is you just simply stop funding our intentional splinter that we have stuck in the fingernail that is the Middle East. So Congress, if they just cut off money to it, this war would end in about a weekend. Like, I don't know how many missiles we have left to burn through. I've been told stockpiles are low.
Hopefully we're getting to the bottom of the stocks, yeah.
You're told the point of electing these, quote, progressives, because Hakeem Jeffries is definitely called a progressive in Washington, the point of electing them is to enact policy that you want them to enact. I know this is sounding like ultra basic. Well, yeah, duh, that's why you vote people in, but we seem to have lost track of that. It seems to instead be, no, we vote them in so they can have the correct one of the two-party letters next to their name for some kind of weird, like, this freaking infinite tug of war that never goes anywhere. House Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffries told fellow Democrats Tuesday he will oppose an amendment aimed at cutting off U.S. aid to Israel, wading directly into a contentious issue that is dividing the party. I mean, you and I have both been talking about how our militaries are being, like, on paper just combined to make defunding Israel just impossible. Yes. And I'm like, hey, two birds, one stone, defund them both. I don't give a shit.
Yeah.
Jeffries announced his position, blah, blah. But, like, look, it's just another guy. It doesn't have to be, I don't know, who are the bad Democrats? It doesn't have to, Manchin? Joe Manchin? I'm getting a vision from years ago. Is that the dude? But, you know, they pick the rotating villain theory, etc. Even Ro Khanna and frickin' Hakeem Jeffries, who are supposed to be in the progressive caucus, you know, like he's... I hate freaking taking racial angles on these things because it's not the best topic for me to be talking about. But look, if your goal is like, well, we simply need to get the old white men out of Congress. It's like, well, here's a kind of young, not white man who is just doing the exact same
thing.
Weirdly, him and Lindsay Graham agree on this.
Right. And that was always the thing, too. It was always, you know, when you see the memes of, like, here's a missile, and then it's like, here's the Republican missile, and then here's the Democrat one. It's like BLM, rainbow flag. Like,
I hear the next ones will be sent by a woman.
Right. And that, too. Like, you see,
it really makes you feel part of
that's the thing. It doesn't matter. And we've talked about this, like, ad nauseum. It doesn't matter who is at the helm. They are there for a function, or they get removed.
They will find a gay, trans, disabled woman to vote for whatever shit.
Yeah, they will find whatever demographic is leading at the time. They will find that person, and they will put them in the position of making these decisions. That's why everybody, you know, hated Kamala Harris as badly as they did. Not because she was a woman or a woman.
That's why I keep getting told.
Like, come on.
A woman will never. I've heard it from people I like used to respect. People in my life who are my personal friends, and I don't frickin' fight them because, you know, this is going to lead to nothing. But I'll just hear them say little lines like, well, you know, if America could just get over themselves and vote for a woman, and it's like, oh man, really? That's okay.
That's the hang up here. Like, that's what you think the problem is.
That's just the cope. Like, that's what MSNBC and CNN tell you to cope with that. It's like, well, she didn't lose because of her non-existent policies. Remember, she never really put any policies on her website even. Like, we don't know what she thought.
Salad and awkward laughing.
Because then she would have to be like, kill every single Palestinian. That is my number one bullet point. Like, and she's not going to say that, so she just said
Bernie
nothing.
basically did when he was like, I'm with Israel. Fuck you guys. It's like, man, what?
Yeah. Oh, here we go. Jeffrey said, here's why. Jeffrey said this is also an amendment. Yeah, an amendment put up by Thomas Massey, who got booted out of Congress basically for this and for being antagonistic towards the uniparty's goals. I don't know what the uniparty's goals are. Jeffrey said the amendment is overly broad in that it prohibits or would limit the use of funds for long-standing initiatives related to humanitarian aid. Oh no, the 4.10 trillion dead children that Ro Khanna was talking about. Refugee resettlement. Which refugees? Israeli refugees? We gotta resettle them in Lebanon? Like, what the fuck? All right, peace building and U.S. embassy operations. The sandwich budget to the U.S. embassy would have been cut, so we can't. It's like when AOC is like, well, I won't vote for weapons, but I will vote for Iron Dome spending, because that's defensive. I will pay. We only do the defensive missiles that we send to, you know, the friendly, nice missiles. Those are the ones that I will fund. Like, it's just the same frickin' thing over and over again. Which is why, like, I don't have to look hard into these things. I don't have to spend a lot of time studying, because it's going to be one of three things. It's always the same couple of things, and I even know what the excuse is going to be. Well, yeah, I don't want Israel to be killing all these children, but, you know, there's all these good things Israel's doing with our trillions and trillions of dollars. I know, like, you're a child, Hakeem Jeffries, or you think I'm a child. And when I was a child, I guess I would have taken this. When I was like 20, I would have been like, yeah, man. I mean, Israel, you can't just not give them any money. They gotta run their PlayStation. Like,
Yeah. And this ties into, okay, the good Democrats, bad Democrats. No, it's uniparty bullshit, because look at all of the leading Democrats who came out and were like, Lindsay, my best friend, Lindsey Graham.
And they
Oh,
vote because that's
man.
more revealing, because they sure seem to vote with him on all the foreign policy. They love
do.
Lindsey
Yeah,
Graham. They
exactly
love
that.
Mitch McConnell. They love Ted Cruz. They love Trump. As long as they're doing these international fucking adventures, they're
Yes.
all in support of it.
Yes. And Kamala Harris and Elizabeth Warren and Amy Klobuchar and Cory Booker, everyone was like, my best friend, he died, but he was so great, and I loved him so much, and we did so much. Fuck you people. Okay, like, do you think like at least just keep your fucking mouth shut? This is also how you know that they're being controlled to do these things, and they didn't even send those damn tweets. But my point is that you're supposed to think that was from them, like that was their. Well, Cory Booker, was did a video, but like they told his handlers, you're going to do this, and and that was and the rest of us are like celebrating Lindsey Graham dying and getting his wish, where he said, I will be with Israel till my dying day. Good, and you die. So there you go, you got your wish, fuckface. But that's the rest of the world is celebrating, and you have these people who are supposed to be the good guys, like the not Trump, anybody but Trump, not Trump, and they're like, my best friend Lindsay. Like, man, come on, like at least fucking make some effort here. And that's why we're always talking about like voting is fucking nil. It's nonsense. There is basically no government at this point. Nothing that's
accountable to us, not a democratically elected government, for sure.
There's nothing, and unless you do something they don't want you to do, then they're going to show the fuck up. You stop paying your fucking taxes, and somebody's going to be fucking, ringing your phone. But the point is like, no, there's nothing has improved for you, yet we have these idiots who are trying to win your favor out here being like, and did you see Cory Booker's fucking face? Like, he was so delighted to be talking about, like, and it's just like, man, what the fuck is wrong with you fucking people? Like, this is outrageous. So it's like when you see Hakeem Jeffries come out and being like, oh, I'm not gonna defund Israel like everybody fucking wants. I'm not going to do that. And then they're all like, yeah, we're not gonna do that. One vote, and we won't do it. Like, who's gonna be the guy that doesn't do the vote or doesn't show up or isn't present because you forgot? Oh, I forgot to do work. I forgot I had work that day. Like, give me a fucking break. That's why, like, we drilled this point into the ground, but that's all that there is going on. There is no functioning government. You can't be anti-government when there isn't fucking one. A functional government wouldn't have had Trump, Biden, Trump, and just people who aren't qualified to do anything physically or mentally, who are just out there literally going blah, 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 because like they literally have no idea what's going on and they're too old to fucking function. That is not ageist. I don't want to hear it. But these guys are. Even Bernie, who is still really like present in there, it was too old to be in that position. Like this is again not an ageist conversation. It just goes to show you that this is it's basically a joke to billionaires at this point. They've cleared the way enough for themselves to do whatever they want to do. Again, seeking that infinite gain, that infinite capital that they now are can. Like they really don't have to eke away at anything else, because no more laws that we're going to inhibit them are going to get passed. The data centers will be slightly censored at best on the local level, but they basically already got these motherfuckers built, like, for what they need them for. But, they're ultimately going to need more and more and more. And so then they'll just continue to eke away. That's why they keep getting passed in the local level. It's very easy to bribe poor people. By the way, if you think it's easy to bribe rich people, it's very easy to bribe your local council person. So they're just going to keep doing it, and they're going to get their way. And we're already past any point of being able to stop them, because we allow them to exist, and now we allow them to exist in great numbers, and they have privately equitized our entire lives. So we don't have like a parting like, yeah, but okay, guys, like, no, there's like. This country has to fall completely. The West in general has to fall absolutely and completely into ruin. Like,
that's the point. That's what I'm talking about. Like, how we can recognize these patterns and with intentionality change things, because it is absolutely possible. There is no force that would stop us from having a quote peaceful transition, like from one mode of production to another.
Yeah,
we could have, or at the very least, like minimally, because we're fighting against like 20 freaking people. So what's our maximum casualty number? 20. And this is not me saying you need to go out and murder anybody, because like, notice that Luigi shooting the CEO of United Healthcare did not fix American healthcare.
record profits after that.
Yeah, they're making more money than frickin' ever. But there is no reason that like millions must not die. There is no reason that must take place, and that's what becomes frustrating, because you also can't just like it doesn't matter how many, I can't run around and proselytize socialism to a degree where people be like, oh yes, we have all now been enlightened because communist Jesus came down and just explained everything to everyone in such a way that they just changed it's
the argument won't help. Like, people have been discussing this for the last like 300 years. Like,
I don't know what we need to do specific. I mean, I know I have plenty of ideas, but I do know what to not do, and what to not do is to continue to put your time and vital energy and money and resources into the uniparty, even if they come out and say, no, we're totally different. We're called the DSA now. We're not just the Democrats. It's like, well, hopefully when. I mean, the DSA, this is ignoring their entire history as being set up as a CIA thing to make sure people didn't go full communist, like actually, to get people to stop reading these books.
Glorious time of political parties.
It's freaking Angela Davis of political parties. Like, notice she freaking has turned against her whole everything. Like, she was a radical getting arrested for shit, and now like, she sure likes being invited to these nice wine parties in California, where she gets to do speeches and all the rich people be like, look, here's our pet civil rights activist that we keep around every once in a while. Like,
yeah, you want more information. Let's look at what happened with John Lewis. You know, like he was like, he was like maybe one of the worst letdowns in history, I think, at least in this
started out as a great guy. But that's the thing. You either do that or you end up either dead or you have to disappear, or like you can't just continue. You can't just hold to your principles. People who hold to their principles get blown up in Philadelphia.
Yeah, they do. Yeah, that's exactly what happens. And like we went with John Lewis from a guy getting his literal head busted in shoulder to shoulder with Martin Luther King Jr. to like leaving like one of the worst legacies in political history behind him when he died. So
because all he had to do was just be who he was, and people just view it as progress,
right? And everybody did all that good trouble shit, and everybody treated him like gold until the day that he died. And it's like he did good shit, and then he immediately turned into a villain when he got the opportunity. They all fucking do it, you know. So. And that was another case of them keeping somebody in office until they fucking decrepitly fell apart and died. So yeah, we could go on forever about this, but we are out of time.
I gotta go freaking pack again, like wash clothes and pack.
Yeah. He's gotta be turning it around and going back out there. But do remember, buy his music. If you enjoy our theme song as much as I do, you don't ever see me, but I'm always kicking it to our theme song behind the scenes. But that is all to Jared's credit, and he has excellent music out that you should listen to, and he can keep making music if you purchase it, and maybe he won't have to run all over the place. He still will, but he wouldn't have to if you keep him keep him going, keep the lights on it. Look how dark it is. You got to get the lights on in Jared's house.
It's like 90 degrees out. You retreat into the cold. I was watching a video about how we need to bring back awnings, because like awnings do a lot of good to both warm and heat your house, depending on warm or cool your house depending on the season and the angle of the sun and all that. And I'm sitting here in Arizona. It's like, it is weird that like nobody here has awnings, because it's at least on the south side of your house, it seems like it would make sense to do. And now I'm like, how much are awnings? Get some awnings. We have blackout curtains. We just put blackout curtains on every single window, and like if you touch if you put your hand around the inside, it is quite warm. So the heat is getting in the house.
For me, I should have blackout curtains. I don't, but I have curtains drawn like all summer, and that's what this is right now. What I'm sitting in, like the
If you got one nearby, IKEA is where we got ours, because I think it was like $20 a pair. It was the cheapest. Of course, that was also like 20 years ago, so I don't know what they are now.
Yeah, if you feel the windows and the walls, like they are actually physically hot. Like it sucks. So yeah,
and same for you in the winter where you're trying to keep the cold out. We don't care. Let it in.
Yeah, we don't care, right? Yeah, no, I'm a winter person. I fucking hate this summer. So like, I'm like, let it be cold. I was 60 degrees in the house. Sounds great. Like that's how I am. I don't like anything about summer. But that's a conversation for another day, because that is a much bigger conversation. And that's the thing too, is we will just keep going because we just like to do this. So thank you guys for joining us. We appreciate you. You can check out all of our past episodes on our Rumble account and our YouTube account. We've been doing this for a while now, and you would think that we didn't have we'd run out of things to say, but no, we got lots of complaints, so we have lots of things to say. And
I'll have a whole new way to tell people to abandon both parties next week. I'll figure it out.
We're entirely like self-run and this is at our own, nobody pays us to say or do anything like this. If we were paid, you would notice Jared would have lights, so like we would be doing things a lot differently. But you can't, what do we always say on the show is you can't serve cunt if you serve the empire, and we don't, and we do, so, or the other way around. But thank you so much for joining us, and we will see you next week with whatever fresh hell is going on there. Remember to look for us on social media. We're hard to find because we say the wrong thing, so our accounts are kind of like I don't know if we're like shadow banned or not. They're just hard to find. I've heard they're hard to find. But if you want us to talk about something or a certain topic or something like that, reach out to us, follow, whatever, and we will be back with you guys next week. So thanks so much for hanging out with us. Stay safe, be good, try not to go insane. Bye guys.
Bye, buddy.
Bye.